Hello everybody, this is Amin.
And this is Alex.
And welcome to the new year. So happy new year, welcome to 2019. So new year, new show. We're trying out this new thing at Soy Chow. So it's a segment called Let's Talk About, where we go in depth and talk about topics that might be interesting for you guys that happened this week. So we have three interesting topics to talk about. It's going to be the phones that are going to come out for the first quarter of 2019. And then we're going to go in depth about the Galaxy S10. And then we're going to talk about Apple. So Apple recently announced a revision in their revenue targets for quarter one of 2019. And that set the world abuzz, with a lot of people worrying what's going on with the company. But we'll talk about that a little later. Right now, let's go into the details about the devices that's coming out this year. So Alex, how many devices are coming out for the first quarter of 2019?
Well, including globally and in Malaysia, there's a couple of devices coming out pretty soon. Like the first one will be Xiaomi. They're going to announce a new Redmi smartphone with a 48 megapixel camera. So that's the highest pixel count on a Xiaomi smartphone. And there's also the Honor View 20. There's also the Huawei Nova 4. The Xiaomi Mi Mix 3, which is pretty cool with a slider. And Honor Magic 2. And apart from that, there's also the Vivo Nex Dual Display Edition. So it has two screens on both sides. And of course, not forgetting the Samsung Galaxy S10 and the Sony Xperia XZ4.
So all these devices are coming out this year,
Yeah,
this quarter.
Yes.
So that's a lot. So okay, which one are your top three?
I think the main one, the first one I'm looking forward to is the Xiaomi Mi Mix 3, because that comes with a slider. The slider is back.
So what's so cool about the slider?
It's a slider, man. I mean, when's the last time you've seen a slider phone? Because most of the devices we see right now are candy bar formats, and this is a relatively new form factor for a new smartphone.
Other than the slider, I mean, I don't need like a slider in my phone. So
well, it's a bigger screen. I mean, because the reason why they go for slider mechanism is so that they didn't need to put a notch on the display. So it has a wider screen to body ratio.
Okay.
And not forgetting about that is that it has a ceramic body.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's pretty premium.
Other than that, the specs. So what camera?
Okay, it's quite high end. It's a Snapdragon 845. Of course, it's a bit dated for 2019 since there's a Snapdragon 855, but it's still pretty good. But one thing about the Xiaomi Mi Mix 3 is that you're going to know that it's going to be priced very competitively in Malaysia. The Mi Mix 2S was priced less than 2,000 ringgit for the base model, so this new one, I reckon it's going to be priced less than 2,500 ringgit.
Okay, so for me, it's like the Mi Mix series from Xiaomi has been like the pinnacle of what you can do with quality design, quality materials at like a really good price point. I think the first one came out at 2,000 something, right? The original Mix.
I can't remember. I think it didn't come in officially in Malaysia.
Oh, it didn't come in officially in Malaysia.
Yeah, but that's actually better. It's full ceramic body.
It has a full ceramic body, like I think one of the highest screen to body ratio back then. It was like really cutting edge. It had like a piezoelectric speaker. That means the screen itself vibrate instead of the speaker. And then we had the Mi Mix 2, which was pretty interesting as well. And then now we move on to the Mi Mix 3. So for me at first I was kind of skeptical about the sliding thing lah. I thought it was like a gimmick. You don't need like a sliding phone. But then I had the chance to try it out, and that sliding mechanism on the Mi Mix 3 is...
I didn't understand that.
That sliding mechanism on the Mi Mix 3 is pretty solid and pretty cool. So I'm excited to see that Xiaomi can come up with something like revolutionary in that sense, that you have a sliding phone, you have to figure out how to design that so that it's robust. So you mentioned that it runs on the Snapdragon 845.
Yep.
I don't think that's that's too much of a penalty in terms of performance.
Yeah, it's still great.
Because Snapdragon 845 is one of the best processors you can get out there. I do have a problem that it's not water or dust resistant because of that sliding mechanism.
Yep.
And for me, it's like Xiaomi, they make good hardware. They make good hardware at like really good prices, but there's not a lot of interesting features. Like not enough of the software side for it to be compelling to me lah. For me lah.
And I think there's one thing you don't like as well. There's no headphone jack.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't understand the logic behind why people remove the headphone jack. So Apple started doing that. There are a lot of reasons for that. Obviously, they want to increase their sales in terms of dongles and adapters because they make a lot of money from those through number one is through through profit, through margins from their own dongles and adapters. Number two is through royalty. So anybody that makes official dongles for them will also have to pay a certain amount to Apple, and they make money out of that. So a lot of people say, "Hey, that's not true," or it's not a thing, but it is. That's the reality of it. So I don't know why other manufacturers are following suit because they don't make any money. They don't have any patents or whatever that they charge. So. A headphone jack is important for me. I think. Okay, how much is the Mimic 3 gonna come to Malaysia?
I guess I'm just guessing because the official price is not out yet. It's going to be released in Malaysia sometime in January. I reckon it's going to be about 2002 to 2003, around that. Don't quote me on that.
That's a really good buy, right?
Yeah.
2000 below 2005, Snapdragon 845.
Good performance, a cool looking design.
How much RAM?
It depends. It can go up to, I think there's 10 gigs of RAM version.
Wow.
But I'm not sure whether it's coming to Malaysia, but there's 6, 8 and 10 gigs of RAM.
Yeah, so for the first quarter of 2019, look out for the Mimic 3 that's coming out, I think within this month, right? January?
This month, definitely this month.
So coming to Malaysia in January, so we'll have like a full-on review of that. I think Rory's working on that, so keep a lookout. What do you think of the Mimic 3? Let us know. Put down in the comments and for us to find out. What's the next phone you're interested in for this quarter?
And of course, there's, if you like sliders as well, there's another option. Another smartphone maker is doing that as well, and that's Honor. So there's the Honor Magic 2. Similar concept, it's a slider phone, but it comes with 6 cameras.
Oh, okay.
Triple front, triple back, but it's a bit excessive, you ask me.
So there's like 3 cameras at the front and 3 cameras at the back. So the 3 cameras at the back, not really something new. I think
you have, so basically
Huawei the P20 Pro has it, the Mate 20 Pro has it. Samsung also has like the A9.
That comes with quad cameras.
That has 4 cameras at the back. So what's the big deal about this one with 6 cameras? So the 3 cameras at the front, what's interesting about that?
It's a bit weird because it has a 60 megapixel main front camera, that's for your normal selfies, and it has two megapixel cameras for depth of field. So I'm not sure why you need 2 cameras for depth of field.
I guess for me is okay. So the 3 cameras nowadays, right? People do a lot of selfies.
Yeah.
I mean, they do a lot of selfies anyway, all the time. So the biggest thing is that this bokeh effect, right? So having like maybe 3 cameras. So one is to actually take the picture of the selfie. The other 2 is actually trying to differentiate. Taking data of the foreground or of the background behind the subject and further behind the subject so that you can adjust the depth of field in more detail. So right now if you try to take a picture with one selfie camera, right? So the depth of field is based on software. It's based on how well the camera detects your face outline and how well it determines the difference between the foreground, which is you, and the background. So that's all done by software.
Yeah, but you can do a good job with one camera. Just look at the Pixel 3.
Well, you can do
the iPhone XR.
I mean, you can, but the problem is even the XR is not perfect. I mean, single camera, yes, it works with the depth of field and stuff, but it's not perfect because if you have a lot of hair, or if your hair is like not in a straight line, it's not a clear outline, the software is not able to detect the edge. The edge detection is not so great. So you do get some really wonky bokeh effect with single cameras. So with triple camera, that could solve the problem. But I don't know. So for me, again, the big issue for me with all these phones with triple cameras and sliding mechanism and all that, right, is the software, the features. I'm not really a fan of specs. I don't really care whether it has, I mean, except for MediaTek lah. I think MediaTek processors are crap. But other than that, if it's on a Kirin or a Snapdragon or Exynos, as long as it's the current gen or not so far behind, I'm okay. But it's the features that make it for me. So it's how these people use the hardware, right? The triple camera at the back, the triple camera at the front.
And how goes the AI to make the most out of it?
What is the benefit for me? What's the spec rundown for that?
On the Magic 2, you know, my second is also a top line Kirin 980 processor. The same one is you get from the Mate 20 Pro. Yeah.
So you get the Kirin 980.
Yeah.
How
I
much?
think Lumia second is 8 gigs of RAM, and then I think Lumia second up to 256 gigs of storage. So it's pretty high end stuff as well.
Yeah, well, I don't fault Huawei or Honor. They make really good devices. Huawei, especially the P20 Pro and the Mate 20, especially with the wide angle lens, right, are my two favorite camera phones out there. But they are not my first to go phones. They're not my daily phones. If I need to take pictures, yeah, I would really like to have them in my pocket. But you know, I use a Note 8 every day, and I can't leave my house without the Note 8. But I'll talk about that a little later.
Yeah, we talk about S10.
Yeah, when we talk about the S10. What's next? Anything else in terms of the phones that's coming out this year? So you talked about the Mi Mix 3,
The Magic 2.
the Magic 2.
And of
You've
course-
also recently tried out the View 20, right?
Yeah.
That's also coming out this year.
Yeah.
This
This
month
month,
actually.
yeah.
Okay, tell us about that. So that is, I guess, your first experience with the punch hole camera.
Yep.
And your first experience with the 48 megapixel camera. So
Yep.
what's going on with that?
So the punch hole camera.
First,
yeah.
okay, go down the specs.
Okay, in terms of specs, okay, it's also same as the top line stuff from Huawei, since on the sub brand. You also get a Snapdragon, not Snapdragon, Kirin 980 processor, and it comes with up to 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage. So high end stuff. The display is a 6.4 inch display that goes almost edge to edge, but there's still a chin at the bottom. And the interesting part of the View 20 is the punch hole. Basically, it's a hole on the display to house the front 25 megapixel selfie camera. It's actually smaller than I thought. So if you look at the display, the holes are slightly bigger than one notification icon, which is pretty good. And the locations on the top left, which I think is a good place, because when you watch videos on landscape mode, it doesn't obstruct your view, unlike the other typical notch phones.
Okay, so if you're not aware, right, what is a punch hole camera? It's the current trend that's happening in 2019. So you're going to see a lot more of that. So in the quest of making displays bigger, right? That means you don't have the bar at the top and the chin at the bottom, right? So this is not a good example. So you have to squeeze the screen higher and higher and lower, and that kind of like leaves out room, leaves less room for other things. So one of the ways to overcome this, so there's multiple ways to overcome this. Other devices are using sliding mechanisms, like the Mi Mix 3 is a slider, so the camera is actually behind, it's hidden, and then when you slide it up, the camera appears. So that gives you a lot of room for display. And then you have the
Pop-up selfie cameras.
the Find X, right?
Yeah.
The Find X is
It's also a slider, but it's like a motorized slider.
yeah. So the camera pops up from behind the display, and then you have the Vivo Nex, which also has a pop-up camera. So that's one way. The problem with that is
there's so many moving parts.
There's so many moving parts that is going to wear out.
Yep.
So the other way to do this is what people are calling a punch hole display. So what happens is the display panel itself, right? So if you imagine this is a display panel, there's actually a physical hole in the display to house the camera. And a lot of manufacturers feel that this is the way to go.
Yeah.
It's interesting because it presents a lot of new challenges. Number one is how do you design the OS to match that hole, right? How do you
work around that hole?
How do you work around the hole? Because if you use what's a bad notch phone?
Bad notch phone. Okay, like for example, iPhone is pretty wide, so you only have little space for the time and little space for the battery.
Yeah, but the iPhone one
that.
is optimized, so
Yeah.
you don't get the thing the UI encroaching into the notch.
Yep.
Things don't disappear behind the notch.
Yep.
I can't remember of a phone that has that, but I
Oh
know.
yeah, I think the early Huawei phones, I think they were not very optimized.
Yes, the P20.
Yes.
The P20.
Especially Instagram.
Yeah.
Instagram stories.
Yeah,
It
so
just cuts off.
P20 also has a notch, but you can hide it lah. So the
Yeah.
P20 also has a notch and you can hide it. But back then when it first came out earlier, a lot of the notifications and the controls hide behind the notch.
Even some games as well, like
Yeah.
PUBG, some controls are hidden.
Yeah, even with iPhone, when you're watching videos, right?
Yeah. If you stretch it, you will go.
Yeah,
to
it
obstruct
will
some part of the
disappear
video.
behind the notch. So notch is not an optimum way to go. So people are doing punch hole display.
Yeah.
But the question is, how do you optimize the UI for that display. But what is the experience? You tried it, right? So that punch hole is pretty cool, lah. It's
really
unobtrusive.
good. Yes, because it's just one small hole. Because we've seen like a smaller notch, like a tiny notch with the water dew design.
The water drop.
Yeah, water drop design on the, I think on the OnePlus 60.
On the OnePlus 6, yeah, we have that
yeah,
here.
we have OnePlus 60 and also on the couple of Oppo and Vivo phones, but it's still in the middle, so it's still obstruct the view. So having it at the corner is actually a better compromise, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what about the camera? So it's a 48 megapixel camera.
Yeah. So okay, at first you when you see the specs, you think it's a dual camera setup, but the thing is, it's essentially one camera at the back. It's only one 48 megapixel camera, and second one is a 3D TOF camera, time of flight. So that's dedicated for other stuff like body shaping stuff, and also for doing some Kinect games activities and all that.
So if you're wondering, Alex is talking about this new technology. It's called it's like a 3D scanner. The term is called TOF, or time of flight. So what that means is that the camera fires lasers that you cannot see.
Or rays or something.
I think it's lasers. Maybe it could be infrared. And then what happens is when it hits a subject and it comes back, the software calculates how deep, or calculates the shape. It maps the shape of that subject in 3D. So it's called the technology is called time of flight 3D scanner. And we don't really know what it's going to be used for. Most of it is going to be with games, AR and gaming. So it's very gimmicky at the moment. But I feel right, if this technology matures, right, you'll be able to. I think the potential is to like create 3D selfies or 3D portraits of yourself. So I think beyond bokeh, right? Imagine being able to take a 3D portrait of somebody. That to me, and then you can. Like how you do Facebook right now, you have that 3D thing, right? But that one is more software-wise. So imagine your camera has that data, right? And then it can construct your face in 3D, and that's more of a memorable experience, lah.
Or
for
can
me.
Do stuff like Mission Impossible, take a 3D portrait of someone's face and make a mask out of it. That's possible.
It's possible, but I don't think it's probable now, lah. Other thing that you can do with the TOF 3D scanner is gesture control, so like Kinect, right?
Yeah.
So we were talking about it. What can you do? What kind of gestures can you do?
Actually, apparently there's a game on the View 20. You can use it to play darts.
Oh, so you just move the thing and then it maps out how far you travel and then how fast the dart and how carry.
Correct.
So
position and all that.
So what's good about that for me is the technology.
Yeah.
Technology is there, lah.
Yeah. So imagine like Xbox Kinect. You know how good it is.
Yeah.
Imagine that technology on a smartphone.
Yeah. But again, I don't know, man. It's gimmicky, lah, for me.
For me, the usefulness, it all depends on application. How well can we do it?
Yeah, so you tried it, right? So it still feels gimmicky, right?
It's not that polished yet for now, but hopefully they improve over time.
Do we need like a 48 megapixel camera on a phone?
Well, the thing is, okay, if you ask me, right, okay, the sensor essentially is not as big as what you get on the Mate 20 Pro or on the P20 Pro, because it's only 1/2.0 inch. It's small, but the thing about having 48 megapixels is that you can actually do like pixel binning. It actually resamples. It actually creates a bigger super pixel, so that actually can capture more details. But if you ask me, the Mate 20 Pro is still the better camera.
Yeah, so if you are looking for like a really good camera phone, right, and if you ask, hey, Soichin Chow, what do you think is a really good camera phone? I think the whole team, maybe Rory doesn't agree with this, but I think the whole team, maybe Rory can say something in the comments, but I think the whole team would agree that the Mate 20 Pro is pretty high up there when it comes to camera performance. It's really good. So if you're looking for a phone that has a really good camera, it's the P20 Pro. It's the Mate 20 Pro.
Because it's not just about the quality. Okay, quality maybe is subjective because some people tend to find the Note 9 or the Pixel to be better. But I think the biggest strength about the Mate 20 Pro is the versatility. You have the incredible night mode, which is impressive, and you can have the wide angle view, which not many flagships have that.
Yeah. And we talked about this in the office. Why is it that smartphone cameras are slightly better or better, right? So are smartphone cameras better than dedicated cameras like a digital SLR? So theoretically, right, technically, right, it is better because number one, it's always in your pocket, and a phone that's with you is always better than than a camera that's with you is always better than the camera that you have at home. But here's the thing: processors on smartphones are super powerful and they can do amazing things. They can actually, like for example, the Mate 20 and P20 Pro, the night mode, it can take like a series of shots, it can combine those shots and then pull out the details. It knows where the highlights are, what the colors are, it knows how much sharpening to put in to make the pictures amazing. The problem with dedicated cameras is dedicated cameras do not have that processing power, that intelligence to do that. And it all comes to the human being, the person that needs to shoot that picture manually. Sometimes you can do it on the camera itself. Sometimes you have to take the picture home and edit it on a computer, and that doesn't work. So I mean, cameras on smartphones today are pretty amazing, man.
Yep.
But it comes to this point, do we need 48 megapixels? I don't think so. I mean, even on the 10R. And the 10s, those phones are amazing. Have amazing cameras too, and they only have 12 megapixels. So it comes down to number one. Okay, this needs to happen. You need to have
Good sensor.
big sensor, light
Yes.
sensor. Pixel binning must happen.
Yeah.
That one is for the low light, right? To capture low light details, and then software must be fully optimized.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for a good camera phone, those are the things that you need to look at. 48 megapixel, maybe you can get like really
Detailed
shots, but I don't know. I'm skeptical about this thing lah.
Yeah. Well, stay tuned for photo comparison and samples later on.
Yeah. So
we get a chance.
We're gonna do like a review of that, the View 20 when it comes out. So stay tuned to that. So the other big phone that's gonna come out this year is this quarter is obviously the Galaxy S10.
Yeah.
And that leads us to the next topic of our discussion is the Galaxy S10. So the Galaxy S10 is coming out in February, early February. Usually they launch devices in Mobile World Congress, which is late February. But rumors are saying it's going to be
earlier by maybe about a week. So the word has it that's going to be launched sometime in 20th of February. This is not verified yet, but it appears to be quite possible.
And we will know when we get the invite lah, I guess.
Yeah.
And okay, so can you give us like a rundown of the expected specs? I know there are 3 versions, plus one foldable one. We'll talk about the foldable one later. So there are 3. There's the S10, the S10 Plus, and the S10 Lite.
Yeah.
So can you walk through the specs of each version?
As usual, Samsung will use 2 processors. So in US markets, you're going to get the Snapdragon 855, and in Malaysia, we're going to get the Exynos version. So Exynos, I think 9820, and probably you're going to get 6 or 8 gigs of RAM. And in terms of storage, it's speculated that you come with at least 128 gigs of storage. So that's the minimum for 2019. And it's speculated that the largest model, the S10 Plus, might come with 1 terabyte. So that's double of what you can get on the iPhone XS Max.
1 terabyte of built-in storage. Wow.
That's crazy. Yeah. And in terms of display sizes, also the S10 is going to be bigger. So the previous S9, S8 is 5.8 inch. So the new S10 is going to get 6.1 inch. And the S10 Plus is getting a 6.4 inch display. So that's the same screen size as a Note 9. But with the new display, so it's going to have a punch hole display, so which means that the screen is going to be bigger, but they will maintain the same footprint. So I think we've seen earlier from Ice Universe, so there's this video that shows the casing of the S10 Plus. So they try to fit different phones. So the S10 Plus manages to fit the S9 Plus. So you can see that it has a bigger display, but it has the same form factor. So Samsung will maintain the same size. If you're comfortable holding the S8 in your hand, the S10 will fit in your hand as well, same size.
But it doesn't you don't increase it in terms of like the width, so it's comfortable to hold.
Yep.
And of course, all of the versions will have the punch hole display.
Them. And the interesting thing is the S10 Plus apparently has a dual selfie camera, so that's going to be a big hole. Yeah.
So it's more of a cutout rather than a hole.
So
the dual selfie camera, again, we talked about. It's specifically for
the S10 Plus.
In theory, I think it's specifically for bokeh effects.
Yeah.
So one is to take actual picture, the other one is to figure out how far. It's more like a range finder kind of feature.
Or it could be for wide angle selfies. That's another possibility.
Yeah, so it could be 2 lens, wide angle, and whatever, wide angle and normal shot. So wide angle selfies would be good also. Wide angle selfie is very useful actually.
it is.
So aside from that outfield, right, I think wide angle selfie is a feature I would like in a phone.
Yeah.
Because how many times, right, have you gone out to take
group selfie,
group selfie, right?
Yes.
So you either need a selfie stick, which looks like really ridiculous in 2019. Stop using selfie sticks, or have
Use
like
the
a super
panoramic,
long
right?
hand like Vernon.
Yeah.
Or have a wide angle lens.
Selfie mode.
Yeah, I think for me, like in terms of practicality, wide angle lens is the best thing you can ever have in a smartphone.
Yeah.
So the S10, right? A lot of people are saying, hey, no, a lot of rumors are saying that Samsung is going to come out with a foldable display. I personally feel, right, the technology is not there yet. It's not there yet for consumers to use. So are we going to get a foldable display in February when Samsung announces the S10? I could be wrong, but I don't think so.
I don't think so. Because I think Samsung has the capability to do the hardware. Now the thing is they need to figure out what can they do with it. I mean, the application wise.
I mean, there's a lot of problems that you need to solve. Okay, number one, the foldable display. Okay, you can fold, but then what about battery life? That's a bit of an issue. You got to put in more batteries.
Yep. In terms of technology, okay, the display itself, I think it's sorted out during the presentation of the display technology. They figured out how to make the display resistant to multiple folds and without any creases. So they sorted the thing out. And one, I think one step towards commercialization is that they work with Google. So Google is going to support that format natively on Android.
The foldable concept thing lah.
Correct. But now it depends on the developers now. So okay, they're going to build APIs on the screen and all that stuff. But what application going to build for it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of problems, right? What kind of apps that you're gonna run? Battery life.
Yep.
When do you need a big? When do you unfold it? When do you fold it?
Yeah.
How would you build a case for it? I mean, all these are problems that you can solve lah. But I don't think it will be ready by this time. Because why? You look at the leaks, right? Most of the leaks only show the S10, S10 Plus, and not this Samsung X, right? They call it.
Not sure yet. It could be Samsung X or Samsung Galaxy F.
Galaxy
for
F, foldable.
Yeah.
So this is the 10th year of the Galaxy,
S.
right?
Yeah, Galaxy S. Yeah, this is 10 year.
So they've come a long way. I mean, Samsung. I remember when I first saw the Galaxy S, right? It was obscure. I mean, it was interesting, but not as polished as Apple. I've used iPhones all the way up to. Personally, bought iPhones all the way up to the iPhone 4, and then after that, I gave up because I don't think it's worth it. Then I moved on to Android. But Samsung has come a long way to where they are now. I mean, in terms of a large format phone, for me, my personal favorite is the Note. I love the Note. I cannot leave my home without it. I do a lot of work on it. Samsung Pay is perfect.
Yep.
If I leave my wallet or if I leave my P20 Pro at home, I forgot it, I can go out and use my Note and pay for everything. Not a problem. So that brings me to features. So there's a lot of these useful features that I like from Samsung. Obviously, you're not gonna get the stylus, the S Pen features with the S10, but Samsung Pay is gonna be there.
The headphone jack still going to be there. So
Yes.
luckily for that.
Headphone jack, IP60.
Water resistance is going to be
yeah,
there.
water resistance is gonna be there.
But but you're looking at the design, right? Because there's not much space left, right? I reckon that Samsung's going to remove the iris scanner.
Yeah, I don't. I
They're gonna
mean,
remove
the iris scanner for me is not as useful as the Face ID.
But it's actually more secure for me, I feel, compared to the normal face unlock.
I maybe theoretically, but the Face ID with the 3D scanner, also the Face ID also has a 3D scanner, is secure too. And I mean, most of the Face ID is okay. I like the Huawei one, the P20 Pro that I'm using. The Face ID is like super fast, but it's secure. I've not found a problem with it yet. I mean, we've had some articles where people say, hey, twins can cheat the system even for the Mate 20 Pro, but it's not really an issue for me. The S10. What are the interesting stuff?
Oh, the S10. Okay, speaking about punch-hole display, so most of the phones we mentioned earlier, right? The punch-hole camera, the camera itself is actually placed on the top left corner. So that's ideal. So if you hold in landscape, it's going to be at the bottom left. So that's fine.
So the punch hole is going to be there,
Down
right?
there, yeah. But for the S10, it's going to be on the top right. So the other side of the phone. So if you're doing landscape, it's
Means
going to be
here, is
talking.
it?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So I'm not sure is that the best position.
Well, so there's three concepts, right? They have it on the left, on the right,
In
and
the
in
middle.
the center,
Yeah.
right?
Center's a bit pointless because must I just go for the water drop design.
That's like a water drop design
Yeah.
lah. And then it's a bit odd lah, right?
Yeah.
It's like a normal notch. Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting. For me, it's going to be how the software is going to be optimized. What new features are Samsung going to be introducing?
Oh, speaking about software, right? So this S10 will be running on the latest One UI. So something
This
that's
is
going
brand
to be
new,
cleaner.
right?
It's brand new.
One UI is not like, what's the UI called now?
Last time I can't remember. They called it Samsung Experience. Previously it was TouchWiz, which is pretty
TouchWiz is
gimmicky,
shit.
it's bloaty.
Yeah, I don't like TouchWiz. Excuse my language, but TouchWiz was really bad, and then
Yeah.
they improved it when they launched the Note,
I think S7.
the
onwards.
S7.
Yeah, it's cleaner.
It was cleaner, and then now it's this One UI.
Yeah.
So we don't have. There's not a lot of details about the features, right? What we know is that Samsung is working very closely with Google
Yep.
to develop this One UI, and they're working very closely with Google to develop this One UI for a foldable future device. But I don't know what new things this One UI is gonna bring. But
Yep.
I know all the good stuff is there lah. So
Multi-window's gonna be
multi-window is there. Samsung is one of the better ones. The Huawei also is really good with multi-window. Samsung Pay is going to be there. What are the things you don't like with the current OS with Samsung? I don't have any issues with it.
I think so far it's okay.
I think battery optimization lah. I think Samsung phones eat up more battery than
Not really. If you try the Note 9, it lasts me the whole day. I think Note 9 is the complete flagship right now, and hopefully Samsung will carry that thing over to the S10 as well.
So the Note 9. Okay, what would you like in the S10 to make it a perfect Galaxy S device?
Better camera. So, speaking of cameras, word has it that it will come with at least 3 to 4 cameras. So hopefully Samsung will put in a wide-angle lens.
So this is the first time Samsung is expected to put a three
On the S.
cameras at the back on the S.
On the S series. So they have the A9 right now with 4 cameras.
Yeah, the A9 is, I don't know, it's weird lah. I
Yeah.
think they just want to say, okay, we have 4 cameras on the phone.
Yeah.
Samsung mid-range devices and low-end devices, I think
The camera is so.
don't pay attention to them lah. You're better off with Honor. And maybe a Poco phone F1. I'll
Yeah,
talk about that
that's
later.
a different topic altogether.
I want to declare, right, I don't think Poco phone. I think Poco phone for its price is good lah.
It's a
But
steal.
it's not the best device lah. So we'll talk about that in maybe another episode lah. If you like to us to talk about that, let us know in the comments. If you think I'm wrong, fight me, bro. Come on. Let me know lah. Okay. All right. So you want better camera?
Yeah.
What else?
Better battery can last whole day. If you can
Bigger battery.
If you can give it
5,000.
a good battery life as good as the Note 9, I'll be happy. At least 4,000, please.
What else?
4,000.
What else?
Yeah, I'm looking forward for the One UI. Hopefully, it's much more sleeker.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like better battery life for
Yep.
sure.
Better
The camera
cameras.
for sure better. Right now, Samsung cameras are okay, not great.
It's great.
Again, the
Not
P20, P20 and Mate 20 Pro. So I have 2 phones that I carry with me all the time: the P20 Pro and the Note 8 that I use. Every time I want to take a picture, right? If I take out the Samsung out of my pocket, then I'll put it back and then I'll look for my P20 and take it out because it's just that amazing. I would like better battery life, better camera, and maybe tweaks in the software. I guess that's the problem.
It's not
right?
tweak. It's going to be all new.
No, but
That's
no,
new.
like the all new ones will fix the problems that we have now. Small problems. There's not major problems with the current UI.
But we won't know
And,
until we try
and
it
the
out.
problem is, okay,
Yeah.
I'm used to the Note 9. I'm used to the Note 8. I'm used to Samsung software. I've used the S7, S8, S9, Note 8. I'm used to the software. So if they change this to like a completely new software, they run a risk of like, what the hell is this?
Yeah,
I'm
it
not
is a
familiar.
risk, yeah.
So I don't think it's going to be like a completely new user experience, but it's going to be.
It is. Have you seen the previews?
I've seen the previews. I don't know,
Yeah.
man. So that's a risk, right?
Yeah.
So I hope they don't change it too much that I don't like it. I hope that's gonna happen. What I don't need from it is I don't need reverse wireless charging. So the Mate 20 has so there are gimmicks. There are gimmick stuff, right? So reverse wireless charging, I don't need it. Some people have so there's two camps. A lot of people think that hey, the more stuff you can cram into a phone, right, the better. For me, it's like the more useful stuff, the stuff that I need is better. Wireless charging is a gimmick. We have like tons of wireless charging plates, but we still choose to charge phones using cable because it's faster.
True.
And I don't like charging, not charging. That's not good for the battery. So wireless charging, I don't know.
But okay, maybe for the phone is a bit pointless because charging using wireless is a bit slow. But think about possibilities of charging your smartwatch and your Bluetooth headset.
Yeah.
Then that's quicker because you don't need that much.
Yeah, I guess the technology is useful.
Yeah.
We had a discussion. I had this discussion with Rory whether it's practical or useful, but we'll get into that discussion later. Yeah. So back to the S10, bigger battery. The display is nicer. I would really like louder speakers.
Yeah, same here as well. The speakers are great, but you compare to the iPhone XS.
The iPhone.
iPhone
if
10s
you ask me,
speakers.
I mean, what is the phone that has the louder speakers? The iPhones.
And the stereos are more
champions.
balanced.
So stereo, right? So you go into the spec sheet, people say stereo speakers, right? You gotta be sure whether it's 50-50 stereo or is it
1090.
1090 stereo, because then it's not really stereo. Like the P20 Pro. I think the Mate 20 has 50-50, right?
Not really. You can still feel that the down-firing is much louder. It's not as balanced as, say, the iPhone XS.
Yeah.
And the iPhone XS, the stereo is actually much wider.
And it's not just loud, So the iPhone XS speakers are good.
yeah, they're rich.
They're full.
Yeah,
You can hear the bass. They're better than a lot of laptops as well.
Yeah. Especially my
Yes.
bio.
So I want louder speakers. So I want them to retain the water resistance IP68.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're going to retain it.
Yeah, but then the problem is, right, other than the One UI, right, what would be enough for you to upgrade?
I mean, what else have been? Okay, you look at the previous S
Control,
series,
not really a big deal.
it's not really a deal breaker. For
Like
me.
the S8 and the S9, right? That was not much of a difference.
Yeah. Only the cameras is slightly better in low light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But in
now-
terms of
now-
battery life, it's marginal better.
So do you think the S9 is and the S10 is huge difference? Is
It is.
enough of a difference for you to upgrade from the S9?
It should be, because if you think about it, S8 and S9 is basically a TikTok upgrade. It's like a refresh, like a facelift. So the S10 is an all new model, and since this is going to be a 10th anniversary edition, they're going to make it the best all round device you can get.
I guess we have to experience it lah.
Yeah. So looking at the Note 9, I'm pretty optimistic that the S10 will deliver.
Okay.
Yeah. So Samsung, don't let me down.
We'll see how it goes. So that's happening in February. So keep it locked on to searcher.com so that you get the latest of all the news and reviews from the Galaxy S10. We're going to cover that extensively and do more videos. Now we talked about upgrades and people not wanting to upgrade because there's not enough of an upgrade to force you to upgrade, and also prices are ridiculous. We don't know how much the S10 is going to cost, but we're not going to talk about that.
But for being Malaysia as a key market, I believe that Samsung's going to be competitive. Like,
Oh, that reminds me. Okay, when do you expect the S10 to be available in Malaysia? I think within the same month,
I think
right?
maybe within, pre-orders are going to start almost immediately.
Yeah.
So I got a feeling maybe the latest early March, I feel.
Early March, late February, not in time for Chinese. I had a reader ask me
definitely.
whether we're gonna get it in Chinese New Year.
No.
I don't think so, guys. We're not gonna be able to get the S10 for the Chinese New Year. The Mi Mix 3 though, you might be able to.
Yeah.
If you're into that. And then the price is not gonna be that far, I think, from the current phone. It's gonna be close to 4,000, but I don't think has any Samsung broken the 4,000 barrier?
4,000. I think the POC is one really expensive phone. I can't remember which one was that. But yeah, the Note 9 512 gig edition.
So that broke the 4,000 barrier.
So I believe they're going to break that further with the 1 terabyte version. I'm not sure whether Samsung's going to bring that in Malaysia. But if you're crazy enough, you're going to get that option.
They will. I don't think. Okay lah. So it's going to be about 4,500.
But I've got a feeling that the base S10 model, the non-plus version, I think you probably can get it about 3,000 plus.
Here's the scary part. Right? These phones are costing, right, almost double the average salary of Malaysians.
Yeah.
That's scary. Okay, maybe we'll talk about like cheap phones in our next episode, like a full-on detail of like cheap phones. So you let us know if we want us to talk about that. Like, what are the best cheap phones you
Cheap
can
and
get out
cheery
there?
phones.
Now, upgrades and prices. We talked about the S10. It's gonna probably come early March. First wave is gonna be Malaysia. Prices are gonna be about 3,000 to 4,000, close to 5,000 ringgit, depending.
Or which model you're gonna
And speaking of upgrades and prices, it's time to go and talk about Apple and what they did this week. So this week they ushered in the new year with this really shocking announcement. A lot of so I've been reading my Twitter. I've been reading a lot of news reports about this. A lot of the analysts and people who've also worked in Apple were how to say, terkejut lah. Not shocked.
They're surprised.
Surprised, yes, that's
Yeah.
the word. Surprised by this announcement. It's like, oh, they didn't expect. They were expecting Apple to revise, or they were expecting the numbers are not going to be high, but they didn't expect Apple to revise the earnings
Yeah.
projection. So for a company as big as Apple, right, when you start revising earnings projection, right, that sets off a lot of alarms, especially with shareholders. It
What is going on?
it makes people very nervous.
Yep.
And you can see that right after the announcement, the share prices dropped by I don't know how many percent, I can't remember. And the announcement was that they're going to miss their mark by 9 billion USD, right? Is that correct? Am I correct in saying that?
For 93 billion, they're going to revise it to 84 billion. And
So-
so that's about close to 10%.
Yeah, so 10% revision from their estimated target. So are they in the red? No, they're
they're not.
making money.
They're still making a lot of money.
They're still
A
green.
lot of money.
But it's not as expected, not
Yeah.
as promised lah.
Yep.
Kan? So it's not as promised. People are nervous
not-
because 9 billion, okay, you say 9 billion, 9B, like, oh, 9B is
big.
small, but it's
Yeah.
actually 9B is huge. It's
Yeah.
$9,000 million dollars.
Yes, US dollars.
Okay, so a lot of people are nervous, and then they tried to. So Apple trying to control the bubble and whatever, right? Trying to say that, oh, this is because people in China are not buying their phones anymore. Okay, what were they saying in the
So
report?
this- so
So
this
you
are-
wrote the story, right?
Yeah, so there's a few points that Tim Cook raised, which is quite valid. Firstly, is that the timing of the launch. So the iPhone XS and XS Max were released in September. So that's the previous quarter. So if you look at last year, the iPhone X did very well, and you remember, right? They released the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus first, and iPhone X was released much later, I think October. So that actually they can maximize that whole quarter. So all iPhone X sales is concentrated on the last quarter. But last year in 2018 they released a bit earlier. So the sales were a bit split or spill over from 2 quarters. So when it comes to the final quarter, the fiscal Q1 quarter, it wasn't as high as the iPhone X. And another one they blame on the currency fluctuation with foreign markets as well. And also, I think also mentioned that less people are upgrading. So there could be a few factors to that. One is people are prolonging the life of the existing iPhones by going for the battery replacement program. And for me, another possibility is that iPhone X is really good enough, and you can get iPhone X at very good prices. So there's no need to go for iPhone XS. So that could be a factor as well.
So here's the thing for me. Number one, right? Currency fluctuation.
Yeah.
That's expected.
Yeah.
And you cannot
It's
blame
normal.
currency fluctuation for $9,000 million in terms of shortages lah.
Yeah. All
Right?
companies going to have the same issue
Yeah.
as well.
Currency is going to fluctuate. If it goes up, then how? Better,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that's not the problem. China, the trade war, politics, whatever, that one I don't want to discuss lah.
Yeah.
Because okay, I just want to talk about it slightly. What is happening is that trade war, what Donald Trump is saying about China and trying to impose sanctions and whatever, tariffs, not sanctions, tariffs, is invigorating or is heightening this Chinese people, Chinese people in China, their patriotic spirit. So this sentiment of buy China,
only, yeah.
proud of China, is increasing in China. And it's a good thing because Chinese products are pretty good. You have Xiaomi, you have Huawei, Oppo. Those are really good products at really good prices.
Yeah.
So Donald Trump is not doing any favors to Apple lah by doing all these things. So that's the Chinese top point.
Yeah.
And then the last point is the battery, right?
Yeah.
So that one is the one that like made my jaw drop when he said that, because So you're saying that you offer people upgrades, what is battery replacement, right? That normal
discounted,
other phone manufacturers do anyway.
But he said that because he's offering a discount, so that makes it more appealing. Because remember previously there was this speculation that Apple's trying to force people to upgrade by purposely trotting down their smartphones.
That's not speculation. They memang do that one.
Yeah, that was and then later on they admitted, actually we did it to maintain that user experience. Yeah.
Which is bullshit lah, I think. Which is just whatever lah. Okay, so they're saying that because people upgrade, we're not making more money. That's what they're saying. That's what I read it as saying.
But for me, it's like if you need to change, right? Even no matter what the battery life is, right? You gotta change anyway.
You gotta change battery lah.
Yeah, you're gonna change the phone anyway.
Yeah, you're gonna change the phone.
Yeah.
I mean, whether it's the battery or whatever, if it's compelling enough, I want to upgrade, right?
Yeah.
So that statement, right, underlines for me the problem that Apple is facing. Number one, they are trying to make as much money as possible from one customer.
Yep.
They're trying to milk the you dry, man. Seriously, literally. Apple customers, you are paying for things exorbitantly. You are paying for things you don't really need to pay for that much. And that's their business model.
Well, the thing is, if you look at the iPhone 10, right, you can't blame them because look at the iPhone 10. It's the most expensive iPhone yet. And yet they sold millions of that. People are really need to pay so much money for that phone. So if your expensive phone work, why won't you
make it more expensive? Is it?
No,
there's a limit. There's a limit lah. So the 10s Max, for example. So everything Apple launched last year, everything
is more expensive.
Was more expensive. The
iPad Pro, the MacBook Air, which is supposed to be entry level, and it's like $5,200.
Yeah, everything was more expensive. They just wanted to make more money because they thought that iPhone X factor that we can charge whatever price we want and people will still buy is infinite. There's no limit to that. Well,
because they enjoy one whole year of selling that phone.
They found out that there's a limit to that right now. There is a limit.
If you push people too hard, they're gonna stop.
And that limit is the 9 billion mystery lah. That's the $9 million thing that's where they're losing.
And I think that Apple foresee that they're going to have fewer sales this year. If you look back, right, Apple has stopped reporting unit sales.
The quantity of
phones, devices sold
right?
Beginning this year. So that's a sign that why you want to hide the number. So they want to focus on revenue. So how do you make up for it? Is to focus on revenue, and how you do that is by increasing your margins.
Yeah, so the signs are there. Number one, they hide the unit sales, so that it's no, you're not
seeing the actual thing.
you are not tracked by the number of units. It's like how much money you can make per unit. Already is don't care about customer, whatever lah. If I can charge more for one unit, yay, better for me as a business.
If you're willing to pay for it, sure, go ahead.
But as you can see, we're using iPads here. I mean, Apple do make good products. I'm not trying to be biased here. They do. I love the iPad. I'm now considering getting a Mac because I've tried Alex's Mac. And the touchpad, the trackpad, right, is super amazing. I don't understand why people need touch screens anymore for a laptop. And you don't even need a mouse. So and Apple makes really good smartwatches. The Apple Watch is the best smartwatch you can get. I'm so sad that I cannot use it on my Android, right? But I don't like that they're doing this to customers. I don't like that. Hey, they think that they can make tons of money from people. And because it's like drugs, for me, it's like the ramification is that people make choices that don't benefit them to be able for them to buy products that they can't afford.
But in the end, to their defense, right, it's not like they're forcing you to buy a $5,000 phone. They do have cheaper options as well, which are still quite good for today's standards. Like
what's the cheaper option?
Okay, like the iPhone 10, I still think it's a good buy for 3,300 ringgit if you get an offer right now. And then the iPhone 7 Plus is still a good deal. You can get it for $2,000.
Actually, the 10 for me, if you ask me, I mean, what would be the best iPhone to buy? 10 is one,
7 Plus,
and the 10R. So I wrote an article. I wrote an article about the 10R. My headline was, "It's the phone the iPhone I wanted to like." So I love the price. Okay, not love the price point. The price point if you're in the Apple, I said in my article, if you're in the Apple ecosystem, this is the best iPhone you can get because it's the cheapest, but it doesn't sacrifice the processing power
the
and
camera.
also the camera. You get the same camera as the iPhone 10. You get the same performance as the newer iPhone XS, which is awesome.
And the battery as well.
And you get a bigger battery.
Yeah, probably the best battery life on an iPhone.
Here's the thing. So when you buy, the first thing you experience with a phone, right, is two things. The display and the camera. Okay, so the camera is good. But they made the display so terrible. It's the worst display.
It's not really that bad.
You compare, okay lah. If you
don't compare, it's actually
no,
great.
okay. Here's the thing. You've experienced the I have P20. Okay,
Yeah.
Okay lah. If you're upgrading from like a
iPhone 8,
if you want to enter into the iPhone ecosystem, the XR. Okay. If you are upgrading from even I'm using the 8 Plus.
8 Plus is Full HD, dude.
But
that's why.
But it's LCD, the display is better.
Yeah.
So the display is terrible, lah. To be honest, of all iPhones, to be honest, of all new generation iPhones, to be honest. So I wrote about why can't Apple give AMOLED for the iPhone XR? Why is it so like that, lah? But if you don't mind that, the XR is a good buy.
Yep.
So is Apple going to die? No.
No,
I mean they're still freaking cash rich. They are the number 2 tech company in the world right now. Microsoft is number 1. They have 700 billion or not 700? Like how many billion? No,
it's
capitalization is 700 trillion. 700 billion capitalization. And then cash is about 140 billion. I can't remember, but some absurd amount of money they have.
They will pull through because Apple will.
They're not going to make a loss.
Yeah, they're not going to make a loss.
We just want to make it clear they're not going to make a loss.
And they also find ways to get through this. Like look at the past, right? They come up with some short-term solutions, like they introduced the iPhone SE to address the budget market. And I think a few years back they brought back the iPhone 6 because people want cheaper iPhones. So how do we get iPhones to more price-sensitive market? So they introduced iPhone 6 again.
Yeah.
And word has it that they might actually restart production of the iPhone 10.
Yeah. So despite being cash rich, they are very frugal and they're very smart.
Yeah.
The people there know what they're doing. So as much as a lot of people say, hey, Apple doesn't know what they're doing now, what the hell is this product, so crap, blah, blah, blah. That's not the case. There are a lot of smart people there and they will pull through. And they're actually not in trouble.
Far from trouble.
Yeah, far from trouble.
Yeah.
What I guess for me, what's interesting. So as people who write stories or all of this, it's easy to get into this shit where you go like, oh, they're in trouble lah, blah 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 blah. It's easy to do that, but they're not. It's easy to go into the drama, but I don't think they are in any drama. There's a lot to look forward to. But for me, what's interesting about Apple is how are they going to get themselves out of this? What are they going to do? So I wrote about they're going to put in a 3D camera, the time of flight sensor, whatever camera for the new iPhone 11.
Yep.
So we did the 10, which is a thick upgrade, right? And then top is the 10S. Then the 11 that's going to come out this year in September is going to be all new. Everything's going to be new.
Yeah.
So that's
going
to
kill
be
the notch.
So that's going to be an opportunity. So hopefully they kill the notch, and hopefully that's going to be an opportunity for them to say, okay, we listen or whatever. There's a lot of opportunity for them to do right.
Yeah.
And the advantage for them is there's a lot of people out there that really want to believe that.
Yep.
So Apple is still going to be there, and they're still going to make good iPads, and they're still going to make good MacBooks, and they're still going to make good smartwatches, and they're still going to make okay phones lah.
We'll see about that. But for me, I still like the iPhones for its video and for its sound.
The speakers.
They're still unbeatable in that aspect.
Not video, not the quality, right?
It's no holding the quality, the stabilization is still better.
Yeah, they make better videos lah, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, well, they do. I mean, we use
that for
Apple
our,
phones for a lot of our video production outdoors when we need to shoot ourselves. So, anything else you want to add? So those are the 3 topics that we covered.
Yep.
That's pretty much it. So there are a lot of phones that are coming out this quarter. The top 3 ones that we are interested in is the Mi Mix 3. Alex is interested in that. The View 20, right? The Honor View 20, and also the S10 series that I'm really interested about. And then we talked about the S10. Yeah, we're looking forward to that. It's going to come out with like a new UI. There's this new punch hole display that's happening.
More cameras.
The 3 cameras. So I want to see how they implement that. Is it going to be better? And then they're going to introduce a new night mode.
The night sight.
The night mode is coming. So that's going to be interesting. We don't expect that a foldable display is coming
definitely not.
this quarter or even this year.
Maybe if I'm just Hopefully end of this year.
But they have two launches, It's the S and the Note. So there's no other window unless they want to create one more window lah.
Yeah, but remember like how they launched the Galaxy Note Edge? So maybe that could be like a special variant for the Note series. I don't know. So
You could be right. So
Yeah.
we'll see. And then Apple. So after all the news, blah blah blah, they lose some capitalization value. But other than that, that train is still gonna run, man.
Yeah.
So iPhone 10, iPhone 11 is gonna come out in September. Look out for that. Again, searchingchart.com for all the latest news and interesting stuff about tech and everything else. On our website, we also have a BM website, by the way. If you don't know, it's bm.searchingchart.com. Okay, so I guess we are at the end of our show today. This is our first brand new show. It's called Let's Talk About. I hope you guys like it. I hope it's been helpful and informative for you guys. If you're wondering why I'm wearing sunglasses, it's because 2019, man, the future is so bright. I gotta wear sunglasses. Actually, no lah. Just before we started the shoot, something got into my eye and it was like really red, so I not cover my mata lah. And that's pretty much it, guys. So we love making videos like this. We love creating content that you find useful, and we really strive by your comments. So let us know what you think, and really help us improve and be better for you guys. So this is me, Amin, and
Alex here.
Alex. So let us know what you think. Hope you enjoy the show.
Thanks for watching.
We're gonna come up with Let's Talk About every week. So stay tuned. And if you want us to talk about things in Let's Talk About, share with them on our Facebook or Twitter, or
Drop a comment down
or
below.
drop a comment so that we know you want us to talk about these topics, and then we'll do that for you. Okay, everybody, this is Let's Talk About, and thanks for watching. Make sure you like the video if you do like it. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, click on the bell icon so that you get notified when we do. We're gonna do more videos this year. We are trying to get daily videos up, so keep a lookout for that. And yeah, anything else you want to add, Alex?
And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Happy Chinese New Year, and yeah, bye.
Bye.
See you guys later.